Ladies, gentlemen, Sophie, welcome to the council. I am your judge residing Judge Old Man Junky. To my right, I have Volio. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Good day, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, people.
And that leaves to the bottom.
Yeah, the fairy one, Judge TraumatisedEwok. How are you all doing, folks?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm not. I've had a terrible week, but we're not going to go into
This is your happy place. This is your happy place.
Look, this is your happy episode. If anyone's going to talk about this, you are.
Oh yeah. We didn't get talk. We talked. Yeah, we'll come to that. We'll come to
Don't
that.
blow your load. just, I know you're eager.
So, should we get to some? Well, I think we should start on something that's not really news anymore because it's just become a common occurrence. Battlefield 2042 is still broken. I saw this week that Battlefield 2042 now does not have enough players in its player base to get games.
I saw that. There's one guy holding the South African servers open.
Like, I'm sure when they announced it, they were like, "Oh, don't worry if all the games are like if the queues to not enough people are in matchmaking, then we'll throw in bots." Now the bots don't even want to play the game. That's where we're at with 2042.
That's when you know it. It's like even the bots are pissed off to play Fortnite. What are you gonna do?
The year is 2042, and still no one's playing Battlefield 2042.
So I think
it's in such a state, that game. I had such high hopes for it as well, and it is in such a state.
It's a shame. It is a shame.
Yeah, but to be fair, it's about one patch away from being Crossfire.
Well, before we go on to that, I think until it has like a major update and actually if it ever does fix itself, I mean, it can happen. We're going to be talking about another game that has allegedly. We'll not discuss Battlefield 2042 again because it just seems to be a running slump and dump each
Battlefield
week.
2040 auntie that's kind of gone a little bit senile, but when every time you go and visit her, she keeps calling you your brother's name and it winds you up, so you just dump her in a home and visit once a year, make sure she's fine. That's 42.
The only upside is by the time it's actually viable to play, it'll be an EA access anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
or
that's usually the 9 to 12 months mark, isn't it? And it's only been out for 6, there or thereabouts. So apparently, last I read, 120,000 people have signed a petition for refunds on it as well.
Oh, that was 200,000. I saw that yesterday.
Is it past 200,000 now? Yeah, I read that a few days ago.
But don't worry,
it's in a bad state.
Yeah, don't worry. The investor call said they weren't really banking on it making money anyway.
It was only going to take
because that's what Apex 10%. Does.
It was only going to make less than 10% of our income for the year. And you're like, well, that doesn't excuse you making a piss poor attempt at putting the game out.
Exactly.
The actual combat itself, the guns and that, when you're in a fight, it feels good. It feels like a Battlefield game. The problem is there's no one to fight. The maps are so bare and so barren.
Well, the lead developer from Battlefield 3 came out and absolutely slated it and said all this had been pointed out at an earlier date, and they didn't care. They wanted to roll it out, despite the fact, and I know we've said this multiple times now, they were given multiple chances by the community, a free pass, a whole pass, to actually restrain it, get it right, and now that's all they saw was the dollar signs and just wanted to get out the door. And well, you're paying the price for it now, aren't you? Because you're having to give back.
Yeah, exactly. We said that ourselves on the podcast numerous times, and it's a shame. So we've sort of done the good, the bad, and the ugly, but we'll do it in reverse order. So we've had the ugly. Let's go for the bad. So Crossfire. Ray, do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Right. So I played a little bit of it, and I'll be quite honest with you. It's not in a great state, but it's not an entirely bad game. So I played a mix of the modern mode and the classic mode. So the classic mode feels like your very classic CS:GO. You know, all your movements the same speed, unless you kind of switch to your knife, you can move a bit quicker, all that kind of stuff. The modern mode kind of tries to bring it a little bit more up to date with, you know, your different sprint and speed, all of that, but it still feels like it may be 5 or 6 years old. So it still feels a little bit dated. The search and destroy game mode, I really enjoyed. I had loads of fun with it. The Spectre game mode, just trash. Absolute trash. One team's got melee and stealth suits. And you'd think if you get close enough, one melee kill. No. You've got to like repeatedly kind of attack whilst the other person turns on you with a fully automatic rifle. So it's so unbalanced. Like 90% of the defenders who are the armed team, 90% of the games were won by defenders when I played. It's just a trash game mode.
You're missing. You're skipping over the biggest part though that I think's wrong with the game. I know you've highlighted it. One map per mode.
Yeah, I was about to come on to that. I was about to say, yeah, one map. Even in modern and classic, the search and destroy is played on the same map.
It definitely feels like it's an early access rather than like a full launch, and maybe that's what they're trying to go for without actually communicating it.
I wouldn't even say it's that. It's free to play. It looks free to play. It feels free to play. It feels like it's a tablet game ported over at times. That's how it feels. It doesn't feel console-esque at all. Or if it does, like Ewok said, like, I don't know, Black, the original game on the Xbox.
Yeah.
Absolutely stunning game. Trendsetter. But I'd probably say Black is better than Crossfire. You know what I mean? Exactly.
Yeah.
You've got things popping up now, like all these free-to-play games that they think just because they can put something to it to try and give it a bit of polish, you can't polish a turd. Enlisted's another one. It's dire.
I think as well with Crossfire, coming back to something we spoke about that we dedicated an episode to, the microtransaction side of it. I had some money on my rewards thing, so I was like, you know, I'm enjoying playing the Search and Destroy. I earn enough on it, so you know, I was enjoying playing Search and Destroy. I thought, you know what, I'll just throw a couple of quid at the season pass. I'll unlock like the challenges and stuff like that. I'll dip into it every now and again, not a problem. The premium challenges, even after I bought the season pass, the premium challenges weren't unlocked. They were hidden behind another paywall. How dirty does that sound?
Well, it could have been one better.
That's not a great look.
Could have charged you an NFT just to play as a character as well. You know what I mean? Going for a full, you know, battle royale casino thing there.
Yeah, it was. It felt very, very dirty. Like, and then you look at.
Have you had any chance to play? Have you had any chance to play the campaign?
No, because on launch, for some reason, the campaign that was meant to be accessible on Game Pass wasn't available.
Ah, lovely. Great launch then. Squeaky clean launch.
Yes.
Standard.
And the thing is like Xbox, if you remember last year, Xbox kind of put a lot of weight on the shoulders of Crossfire X as being like the game everyone's been waiting to make the leap from PC to console, and it's coming to Xbox. Ouch.
I don't know. I sort of like, I'll play devil's advocate on this one, and I'll sort of say, when people say this is the one people have been waiting for to make the leap, console players and PC players have very sort of like different margins on what they consider good and will play. So, I mean, World of Warcraft is a prime example of how old a game can look and still be classed as one of the best games in the PC area. I think if they did, and it could happen now that they own, as we talked about last week, now that they own Blizzard, they could port World of Warcraft over, and you'd expect people to go, oh, this is amazing, this is what console players have been waiting years for. I don't think console players would like World of Warcraft on console. I think console players look at it and go, well, this looks like a Steam pile of shit.
Did I not say this? Did I not say that it wouldn't port well either? However, Junky, myself and Ewok have partaken in a viewing of a video of World of Warcraft running in the Unreal 5 engine.
I saw. You haven't seen it, but I've seen of it. I haven't had a chance to watch it. It looked pretty good. Like,
wow,
it got me excited.
Wow,
yeah,
like I only saw a still, and I was like, ooh. Well, how many times have we seen someone go, look, I've modded this, I've made it look good in the Unreal Engine, and then
Nintendo come along and shit on them, yeah.
Developers don't do anything about it. Everyone's guilty of it, even Rockstar. Like you've seen modders, you've seen modders have made like a definitive version of GTA that was 10 times better than the definitive version released of GTA.
Ewok hit the nail on the head with that when you said you booted the 360 version up after playing the remaster. It was just like, this is so much better.
Yeah. Like if I wanted poor graphics and, you know, dodgy controls, I would have just booted up the 360 one. That's exactly what I got. So, but yeah, that Unreal 5, wow. I mean, it looked incredible, but could you imagine how many of the storage expansion slots you'd need for your Xbox to play it?
So I'll say one more thing on the bad before we go off on the tangent, and that is Warzone is still in a very bad place. For me, I think it's still in a terrible place, and it aligns with what the developers have said this week, where they've said we have fucked this game up. We've been Icarus, we've aimed for the sun, and we've melted into a big steam empowered turd and landed in somewhere called Caldera, which is also conveniently a big steam empowered turd. And I think it's all down to them admitting, realizing that there's too much. They push the engine too far. You can't have every single generation in this game whilst using 4 generations of guns with completely like on a 4-year-old engine. It's still run on the Modern Warfare engine. And then you got Ricochet on top of all this hashtag. So obviously we've heard that, and then we've heard rumors that Modern Warfare will be released in November, Modern Warfare 2, with a brand new engine, next gen only, 120 frames per second, ray tracing, all the good stuff.
Yeah,
console,
by
PC.
Infinity Ward as well, yeah.
And Warzone 2 will release at the same time. But we're being told now, or the rumor is, Warzone and Modern Warfare will be 2 separate entities, so they won't have this convoluted sort of UI when you're loading in. And then I'm guessing that the weapons won't balance the same, so they'll literally have a separate set of weapons for Warzone and Modern Warfare. So when the next game comes out, you'll retain your Warzone weaponry. It might change. They might just change like the rotation of what weapons go into the game, but it won't follow the arc of whatever game is releasing via whatever publisher. Which makes sense if it's going to a 2 to 3 year development time, and then it depends whether you even carry on with Ravensoft and Sledgehammer making Call of Duty games. They could very well end up being support studios or making completely separate IPs, which would make more sense. Because if you're, again, I'm saying a lot here, and I'll let someone speak in a second. Phil Spencer's come out and said, we have spoken to Sony, we are keeping the Call of Duty franchise on PlayStation. So it would make sense to have Infinity Ward making 3 to 4 year lead time Call of Duty games, and then have Sledgehammer, Ravenclaw, Ravensoft make new IPs that aren't coming under that contractual obligation to Sony. So in all, it's a first-person shooter. It's by a Call of Duty studio, but it's no longer a Call of Duty game.
I think, taking off on that, I'm laughing so much because we're recording this now, and I'm due to stream tonight, and I'm streaming Call of Duty Warzone.
Well, you saw my bloody clip last night.
Oh, mate. So I'm expecting all sorts of fun tonight, right? And I'm playing it with my missus, who likes to rage a little bit, and this is only on fucking Plunder, bear in mind. You know what I mean? So we're going to have some fun. However, taking what they have said, yes, I entirely support the fact that they are going back to Infinity Ward, owning the Modern Warfare title. And yes, they are talking about it being 2 separate entities. This is how it should have been done from the start. Because how many times have we gone, right, okay, I fancy a bit of multiplayer tonight, or a bit of campaign, bit of multiplayer, bit of campaign. And then Warzone came along and everyone was like, oh, shiny, new. And we all jumped on it and it was good. Well, it was there first, and then we started picking it apart and finding the bugs, and they started doing unwanted updates and that. And we all flooded back to multiplayer because that's what we all wanted. That's Call of Duty. That's the heart and soul of the game, the multiplayer side of it. and I'm not being funny, they need to find that essence that is Call of Duty again. And I definitely think doing what they're talking about and having it so that you will load up Modern Warfare 2, you will play a campaign of sorts, and then you will play Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer, and it will have jack sweet FA to do with Warzone, is probably the only saving card now that Raven Arc, Trey Software, Infinity, Sledge Ward, Hammer, whatever, whatever the amalgamation that is COD. Besides putting their head in the noose, it's the only thing they could use the rope for is saving themselves.
Yeah. I think what Junky's saying about giving like Infinity Ward like, you know, a 3 or 4 year lead time on a development. In the past, they've had to kind of go, right, we need a new iteration out this year, we need a new iteration out there. It's been a license to print money for them. But now that they've got Warzone there, and if Warzone 2 drops, like most people who are playing COD are playing Warzone. Let's be honest, nowadays, most of them are playing Warzone. So it gives you that time, less stress to kind of say, right, we don't need to drop it every year. All we need to do is keep on, you know, making updates to Warzone, which will keep a large kind of portion of the player base happy, whilst we make the next iteration of the story Call of Duty. And I think it's the only way for them to save the franchise right now.
Taking on exactly what Junky said there, that's exactly how it should be done, in the sense of Sledgehammer and Raven should take a step back and should just entirely be support studios that support Infinity Ward and Treyarch. And while Treyarch, Sledgehammer, and Raven concentrate on maintaining Warzone and keeping that running and making it all kosher, leave Infinity Ward to make the multiplayer. And because at the end of the day, it got to a stage as well where multiplayer wasn't used for enjoyment or entertainment anymore. It was used for ranking up guns, literally, to then take back into Warzone. Don't get me wrong, Shipment, I'll still play Shipment till the cows come home, you know what I mean? It's one of them. But, yeah, point made.
I've literally been on Vanguard for most of today.
Unlucky you.
Leveling up weapons.
There you go. And it's got to the stage as well in Warzone. Like, I'm about to play tonight. The last time I bought a season pass was the very, very beginning of season 1 of Cold War. Right? So I haven't played any of the Cold War pass. I haven't played any of the Vanguard pass. I don't own Cold War. I don't own Vanguard. But I can guarantee you now, I'm going to play with guns tonight that I've got no levels in because I don't own them. And because I don't own them, I can't go and level them up ready. So it's going to be rough for me tonight as a Warzone player going back in. Now, why is that fair? Because I didn't choose to pay 90 quid to go and buy 2 titles that I didn't want.
MP5 still holds up, just FYI.
That'll do, mate.
Good thing with Bungie, you can just drop them with your loadout, can't you? So.
Yeah. So we've had the ugly, we've had the bad, so we go for the good. Well, I say good with heavy quotation marks. I've spent the last 20 minutes reading through the patch notes for Cyberpunk 20. I can't remember what it's called. It's been that long. Cyberpunk, that'll do. And today, that was the big news.
2047.
That's why I got confused. I was like 2042.
And in 2077 on Cyberpunk, Battlefield's still not playable.
It's funny because it's true.
So we got big news of 3 o'clock today. That's the long-awaited next-gen patch has come out for PS5 and Xbox, along with a megaton of patches to the game and DLC. But I think the DLC is just like a few add-ons to missions, nothing substantial. We could probably spend an hour just going through the patches, so we won't. It's basically just a lot of improvements, a lot of extra romance options, better UI, better enemies. I think it's 60 frames per second with 4K upscaling on PS5 and Series X, or 30 frames per second with ray tracing. So I think I'll probably be playing the 60 frames per second.
Don't you know? I like the idea of 30 with ray tracing.
Well, I'll switch over to have a look, but then I'll get really sick because 30 frames per second makes me feel a bit nauseous these days. Because I remember I went on the like the photographic mode on Assassin's Creed Valhalla, quality mode, and I was like, oh, this looks really pretty. And after about 5 minutes of playing, I was like, no, I can't do this. No. You can see it. I'm a snob. I admit it. You can see it now. You can see the difference between 30 and 60, and it does not feel good. They've improved the driving, and apparently the driving in the game is much more aligned with like racing sims. So they're touting below Forza level with actual gear shift, differentiation between cars, and an actual feel of gearbox transmissions and all that good stuff. It is sort of like tailored.
The same when you ram into other people.
Tailored to a controller, because that's the ideal way of playing a racing car game is on a controller. I can't. Would not agree.
Them bunny ears, you got loads of bunnies tonight, you don't.
Yeah, all over the place. Yeah, so where else was there? I think the one big thing is like a bit like GTA, where it is if you go to drive a car into someone, they will actively try and move out the way. Whereas before, you're just crashing all the time. Pedestrians will try and jump out the way of your cars. Whereas before, they just let you hit them. Yeah,
I think
so
I was one of the very lucky ones.
Excited. It's also got a free trial. I'll let Ben talk more about that because I think he's excited.
I am excited, I won't lie, because I didn't partake in Cyberpunk in the early days. I deliberately held off because after hearing the first 1 or 2 reviews, you just knew immediately. And I mean, IGN are there, oh, Cyberpunk, yeah, Cyberpunk. And you're like, no, you're not, like, thank you. And then they were made to look like idiots. You know what I mean? It was... And what annoyed me is CD Projekt Red don't do things by halves. And I really think they've struggled with this. And I think it's going to be a big learning curve for them. Which is why I also think when finally the next Witcher game does drop, it is probably going to be the shit.
Playtested to death.
Yeah, playtested. It will be probably one of the nicest, prettiest, bestest things that will grace the console/PC.
Well, we spoke about it in like previous episodes, and we've spoke about it literally 10 minutes ago. When companies bring out a definitive version or a remade version, a scaled up version of the game, and it's worse than the modders version. This is where I think CD Projekt Red are like on the ball. They brought in a team, didn't they? They bought a team of modders who were modding Cyberpunk and like making it better. They bought the actual team and brought them into the development process and helped them like. I reckon this is probably a big sort of like reason why it's been brought forward so much, because originally we were looking at that timeline and maybe getting the next gen update at Christmas time, Q4. Now it's like Q2, which admittedly is the worst time because we've got so much stuff coming out.
Well, I'll tell you one thing: we'll not be jumping over each other to play, and that is Division Heartland.
Is it that bad? I know Ray was pretty upset for both reasons, for being snubbed.
So I may or may not. I can't confirm nor deny that I may have been on some sort of test beta, dare you? And I can't confirm nor deny that after playing Waiting Lobby Simulator, actually managed to get into the world. Now, there are early reports floating around on other media sources that state it's a Tarkov style, whatever. The bottom line is, if you've played Scavengers, you've played it. It's a PvPvE in a Division skin, not done very well. Now, I know last time I said this about a beta, it ended up being Rainbow Six Extraction, and I sat here and I ate my own words. And do you know what? I swear to the Lord, I praise, I do the same thing. I want it to come out right, because right now what I experienced was worse than the beta for Extraction. And my God, it stank. It stank so bad I had to play with the windows open.
I'm hoping that I might get an invite to I mean, I know I can obviously completely trust what you're saying. I just, when it's one of them where like you want to see it with your own eyes. You want to see just how bad it really is. You want to kind of look and kind of cry a little bit inside. Because it's another one I've got high hopes for. So I'm hoping that it's just we want your feedback and we'll improve.
Yeah, I mean the core mechanic is essentially being in an open world, but you're on a timer because your filter's running out, so you need to find scraps to then keep making fresh filters to stay out in the area. And rather than having one surrounding gas cloud that shrinks and narrows in to a circular area, you have big waves and patches of the disease or virus that sweeps through the area you're in and can restrict you down to a bottleneck situation where you end up fighting with another group of agents while you're fighting with the already on the map enemies. And it's a 3-man squad again with 3 basic classes, medic, tech, engineer, and like an assault type. And if I don't get on another test, it really doesn't bother me. Especially with what Ubisoft had churned out. Yeah. However, I did speak to a friend of mine that was also on another Ubisoft test recently, who was lucky enough to get in on the Ghost Recon one, the new free-to-play one. And he said, again, very much like Warzone, but with Ghost Recon, again, it's a situation where you've got satellites dropping in, a bit like on that Battlefield mode. Is it the drop zone, whatever it was called? Hazard zone. Yeah, where there's like satellite recons. You got to get in, get out without surviving. You got a group of 4 of you again, but it's just done right. He said he's a massive Warzone player. He's a massive Grow player. Loves Ghost Recon. Loves the Division. And he said, despite everything that people didn't want it, it's just Ghost Recon again and all that. He said, keep your eyes open because this thing's going to bite people in the arse and wake them up. So I'm all hyped for this now.
Yeah, I do like Ghost Recon. I really like Ghost Recon. So hopefully that's something. But very, very quickly, coming back to Cyberpunk, just very, very quickly, just as a note. I was very, very lucky. I think I played on the Xbox One X and I did not suffer any of the bugs, glitches, or anything that anybody had. Not to deny that they happened, they obviously clearly did, but I was very, very lucky in that I didn't have that experience. So I'm looking forward to seeing just how much of an improvement there is from someone who had a bug-free, glitch-free play. Mm-hmm. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to play, I'm going to pick a different background, I'm going to play it again in my kind of off-stream time. Like, it's going to be my game to play for me. And I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what the improvements are and how it compares to my first playthrough as well.
I'm excited. Excellent. I'm excited. Like, I'm coming in fresh. I bought it and then deliberately didn't play it for 2 years.
Right, gentlemen, time is ticking, so let's get on to the fat of the subject. And there's only one thing we need to talk about here. Now, I'm going to take a step back and let his lead off because he's been chomping at the bit for this one. Ladies and gentlemen, minute after we sat there and mocked Microsoft for buying Blizzard Activision and turned around, and I believe my words were, imagine your rival owning your icon, your figurehead. Then Sony went and bought Bungie. Go on, Dan.
Well, so I was shocked again because I obviously work shifts. I was on nights, so I woke up and my phone's got like a million messages from like about 20 different people, and it was like the actors in Blizzard all over again. I was like, "What the fuck's happened here?" And I was like, "Oh Jesus Christ!" And again, I woke up and I was like, "Oh Jesus Christ!" And then I was in meme mode. I was just making memes all night, and that was fun.
Totally.
Yeah,
top quality memes, by the way.
Multifaceted approach when it comes to this. I can't remember exactly what I was going to say now. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to lead off. Something that you probably not expect me to lead off with this, given the subject. But I could not believe the amount of bloody people that didn't understand Bungie do not own Halo.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I just remember sitting there and like instead of people talking about like what this means to the future of Destiny, it was just people going, "Oh God, I can't wait to see Master Chief on the PlayStation." I was like, "Well, he's never going to be on PlayStation."
Yes,
Yeah,
I
but,
saw a tweet. Somebody had gone through the actual steps of creating like a Photoshop with like a Master Chief collection on a PlayStation 5 box and everything, saying, "Really can't wait for this."
It's like, how do you feel about PlayStation on Halo? I was like, well, they don't. 343 do. For whether you see that as a positive or negative, they don't.
There was the Leo meme with the martini glasses saying all those fanboys that think Halo's about to hit PlayStation.
So I was a bit bemused by that. I really, I was just, I don't know, I just never expected that many people to believe that. Like, I think for us, like within the gaming sphere, we talk, we live, we breathe, we play games all the time, and I think you just sort of get this like tunnel vision where you think everyone who plays games is of that mind. Everyone sort of knows everything. So if you play games, you know who Activision Blizzard are, you know who Microsoft are, you know who Bungie are, what they make, what they have, you know about IPs and acquisitions and stuff like that. And I think for me, it was a bit of a learning curve that like people don't. People generally
not everyone who
don't.
claims to be a gamer and in the in circle and in the know actually knows, which is funny.
And like, I know, I guess I always had some exposure to that because I'm in a few group chats with people who are like that, who do play games on the regular, but they'll turn around and they'll say openly, "Oh, I get all my gaming information from you. Like when you talk on the group, that's where I get all my news from. I don't actually keep in touch. I just play the games I play." So it's it was a bit of a weird one. Moving on to the actual acquisition, I think Sony got a steal. I was not gonna lie, I was a bit surprised after Bungie have said we want to retain our independence. How many times are you going to retain your independence? Who are they? France.
Oh,
naughty
boy. Not that we have anything against French listeners.
I don't know, nothing against French listeners. You just surrendered and gained independence about 1 million times, so you're pretty much Bungie in them terms. Yeah, so I was a bit surprised by that. But I understand it. I think it's a good business decision. What was it, $3.71 billion?
Something like that, yeah.
And I was quite happy to see that £1 billion of that money is going directly to the developers themselves to keep the talent in house. So obviously that'll trickle down with your CEOs getting the wedge, and then but I think most of the devs there will get a fairly good bonus, and I think a lot of them are on Twitter saying, "I'll be able to pay off my college debts completely. I'll be able to buy my first house, like with a
it's
size."
to see the devs who
And I
put
was
the work
like,
in actually getting rewarded.
Yeah, and it goes on to what we've been saying a lot on the podcast, where it's nice to like give respect to the developers and show appreciation. I think it was a really good sort of like gesture from Sony.
However, you've got to take it into context, right? Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard for almost 80 billion, and Sony have only bought Bungie for just shy of 4 billion. Right, massive price difference. But people have got to remember, Bungie, and this is going to hurt a lot of people when I say this now, and I apologize. Bungie are a one-trick pony. They make something good, they throw everything at it, and then they pump it until it's in its care home on its life support, and then they palm it off on someone like Activision and move on.
I think they've obviously got. Is it 2 games, 2 unnamed titles at the moment in development?
So essentially they've got 3 games. So they've got Destiny, which you all know, which is their main IP. They've got Matter, or Project Matter, that's its name. It's not. It might not be the official title. And then another unknown IP that no one really knows about. That's like completely under wraps. All we know about Matter is it's meant to be a more cartoony aspect of an open world sandbox looter shooter, which puts me in the vibe of a Borderlands type game.
Yeah.
The thing about Matter, I am pretty sure Tencent own a share in its development. I'm pretty sure they heavily invested in it at the beginning. before when they split from Activision, I'm sure Tencent. So it'd be interesting to see, because it was being developed for that market, for that Chinese audience. So it'd be interesting to see what develops with that, how that changes things with Sony having like a grand stake. Obviously, it's all contractual, so they won't have any choice anyway, but it will be interesting to see how all that plays out, especially as Tencent are the big sort of like the other big company, aren't they? They are. We don't talk about them, but they are the other big company. So it was only a small acquisition, really. Well, 3.71 billion for one IP, questionably.
It was more of a peeing contest, let's be honest here. It was like, Microsoft, like, look what we've bought, look what we've done, and Sony had to retaliate in some way. It just had to happen. I mean, Bungie, let's be honest, out of everything they could have acquired, it's probably one of the best ones on the market. Yes, Destiny is heavily supported by the PlayStation community. I get that. However, what exactly is Sony getting out of this?
Right. So this is my other take on it.
This is the question, isn't it? Go on, Dan. Sorry.
No, if you want to say something, you say something, because I don't want to hog the mic, because I will talk about this at length. So if you want to quickly,
you are the expert when it comes to this. Really.
just quickly coming back onto the Tencent thing then before we let you loose into the field. I think possibly one of the reasons behind this acquisition, behind Bungie kind of partner up with, well, not partner up, basically coming under the Sony umbrella, is so they're not reliant on those kind of deals again. Basically, if they've got Sony kind of funding them and still giving them the level of independence that they want, they don't need to go and seek any kind of percentage backing from any other companies. They can just simply go back to Sony and say, here's the deal, here's what we're making, money please. And there's no strange deals being made with kind of companies like Tencent, who seem to be creeping into every aspect of gaming at the moment. But yeah, that's all I was going to say.
One of the big things I think everyone knows straight away, that they're not going to get exclusivity on Destiny. That'd just be suicide. As pretty much Activision's already said with COD, you can't do it. The title is big enough to hold its own across everything, and you can't boycott a market. You can't, because people would just revolt in the biggest way. However, I mean, like you say, what are they going to get out of it? The way I'm looking at it, at best, right, Sony are going to turn around and get exclusivity on content within the game for so long. Then maybe 3-4 years down the line, exclusivity on another Bungie IP that comes out. That's at best.
So, touching on that, but Bungie have already, they issued a Q&A the night of the notice being put out of this whole acquisition. They basically put, no, there's going to be no content exclusivity, because they want the whole player base to enjoy everything. And also, there will be no console exclusivity of any of the future titles that they're working on either.
You say that now.
Right.
So did Bethesda.
Yeah, go on,
right. So I'm gonna
hit the field.
I'll touch on a few points.
We're gonna go.
First, I'll touch on what TraumatisedEwok just said about, and it sort of ties into what you've said as well, Ben. So, with them sort of thinking, oh, Sony might buy me and then I'll be safe from other companies, like I won't have another Activision. Obviously, they're owned by Microsoft, and you can argue when they're owned by Microsoft, the big fear and the reason they want to leave was, oh no, we're going to be made to make Halos to the end of time. I completely understand that. Activision, oh no, we're going to be forced to make a yearly Destiny DLC like the COD franchise, or Destiny 3 every 2 years, or Destiny 4. So we get that, and then going to Sony. For me, being given creative independence as like, you know, a stipulation of you being bought out by this company, they could have had that from Microsoft, and admittedly, they probably have a better working relationship with Microsoft. Obviously, they helped out 343 on aspects of Infinite. There was the Game Pass, getting the DLC last year, and Microsoft's massively changed from what it was. So I don't really think that's a major issue here. Touching on what Ben said with Oh, what did you say now?
I said about
the pissing contest. Right, the pissing contest. These kind of deals take so long to go through. The only way I can see it sort of like being that kind of thing is if there was rumblings about Microsoft buying Activision months down the line, and they've gone, "Oh, let's buy Bungie." I think Microsoft. This is all projection. This is like there's no rumor at all. It's just me saying something that I have nothing to back up. So it's just me saying something. That's my opinion. I think Microsoft might have gone in for a bid. Sony thought, and then it got rejected, probably on the basis that they wanted their independence or they want to go back. And that's what's caused the fallout in terms of no more Games Pass jumping on and not having the actual license for the 30th anniversary edition to use Halo weapons, because obviously we had the weapons and all but name.
Yeah, I remember.
But then at the same time, that could have been an insider agreement between Bungie, Microsoft, and Sony, knowing full well months before it was even announced, because they probably knew it. They all know that they were going to require them, and they've already said, PlayStation already said, no, you can't do that. We don't want that in that game, because then that'll be in that game when we own that game, and it'll mess around with licenses. Jumping back onto what Traumatized said about the Q&A, yes, they came out and they said that it's not going to be Sony exclusive, and they laid out which Queen will be available to everyone. The next DLCs next years will be available to everyone. I think Destiny is the olive branch for, can we keep Call of Duty on both consoles? Can we keep Destiny on both consoles? I completely agree with that. When it comes to Call of Duty, I think Microsoft had no tangible way of not putting that of putting that as an exclusive on Xbox. I don't think that was ever going to happen, sheerly because of antitrust laws. I think if they'd said it's good, even if there was any whiff of them taking it away from other consoles, it probably wouldn't pass through. I think, and was it Samai? I can't remember the head of Microsoft, not Phil Spencer. I can't pronounce his name. I don't want to pronounce it because I'll get wrong. I'm telling you, Div.
I know who you mean.
I'd offend him if he listens. So he said it's staying on, and I think that's part of the antitrust, how to get that pushed through the house. So it makes sense. It makes sense for gamers anyway. No one wants these franchises to leave multiplat. They work well on multiplat. Where am I get to? So that leads us to, why do I think this is a good acquisition for Sony? Why do I think this is a good acquisition for Destiny players? So I think they went for Sony over Microsoft because they've always expressed an interest to put Destiny as a multi-franchise media. It's always been their interest, and they've never had the opportunity. Now they have Sony. Sony has a filmmaking franchise.
Of course.
So not only does Sony get the rights to Destiny the game, they also get the rights to make Destiny the film, Destiny the TV series.
They've literally just got Destiny, Deja Money, Prince, go.
Yeah. And that's before you even look at the other IPs that are in being made at the moment. Where do I think exclusivity comes into it? I've had arguments with people on the internet. I'm not going to lie.
Fair boy!
But they've released the Q&A, so it's definitely not going to happen. I was like, all right, yeah, sound, yeah. So you believe everything that a multinational corporation tells you? Sound, yeah. Either you're very, very naive. Sorry, either I'm naive or you're gullible. It's one or the other. I happily
wait a minute.
I'll happily admit if I'm wrong. Do I think we're going to see anything like year one of Destiny, where like we got whole swaths of content going to PlayStation? No, I don't. Do I think we might see something like a PlayStation logo appear on someone's armor, or like a PlayStation band, potentially, yeah, as an exclusive ornament?
Was that you that made the? It was, wasn't it, the insurmountable skull from the PS logo?
Yeah. And does it bother me? No. If anything, I think it looks pretty cool. And if you really want it, it'd be like the Fortnite issue where you just log onto your PlayStation, you get your exclusive PlayStation gizmos, and then you go back into Xbox and you'd have them on your account. because everything's multi-account. If you were that bothered about it, you could still get it. It just means you've got to, shim PlayStation like $5.99
to the dark side
for the plus for the month. So I don't think it's a big issue, and I think that's all we're going to see as far as exclusive content. And people just couldn't get into their head. They said no exclusivity. Oh my god! I'm not saying we're going to get full missions.
No,
but
I think what they're saying is like any gameplay content that they put out, anything, missions, dungeons, storylines, everyone's going to experience that. They don't want to separate anyone out from that. Cosmetic stuff, I don't really care.
Interactable would be the word to use, wouldn't it? Any interactable will not be exclusive. However,
but if they do venture into the Destiny film TV verse, I will instigate all riots if Lance Reddick is not cast as Zavala. I will go to the streets.
I will second that one.
I will go to the streets.
And Philly in his cage. Let's get that out there right now.
Yeah. And get Gina Torres in for Akora.
For me, it's a genius move. I mean, you only have to look at how successful the MCU is at the moment, how it's thriving on Disney Plus. It's in terms of like series, films. So same with Star Wars. You got just finished Boba Fett, Mandalorian, Ashoka, Obi-Wan. You got the
people are lapping up spin-offs at the moment. You can't lie, they're loving it. I mean, look, we're going to get a second iteration of the Sonic movie. Sonic. There's a Mario movie coming out.
I mean, we're getting the Halo film. So if we get a Destiny film, we've got a Destiny live action series, and then we've got a Destiny cartoon anime series. And that's before you even go into like if you get the TV.
But it won't be Vox Machina though, will it?
If you get the TV and the film right, which admittedly it has been Sony's downfall. I believe Uncharted is so. It's a popcorn film.
Yeah.
And obviously the Spider-Man films, their Spider-Man takes were not up to standard. Apart from Into the Spider-Verse, which was fantastic.
Yes,
but then again, cartoon. It's a cartoon movie. If you add Into the Spider-Verse, but Destiny, that animation, but a Destiny original story, fuck me, I'd pay that. I'd go and see that.
Yeah,
I think.
And then sell toys.
I think what lends strength to the whole TV side of it as well is the fact that we're getting The Last of Us soon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
So, and what I want to see is like Netflix quality, if you get me. That Netflix like poured money into like The Witcher, stuff like that. If we can get that kind of quality in The Last of Us and people lap it up, I think that'll just encourage them to say, right, get the script writers in, get the directors in. Let's get this ball rolling.
Well, look, we know Lance Reddick's not
so much lore to go into as well.
Yeah, he's not afraid to jump on anything, really, is he? For Christ's sake, he did 3 seasons of Supergirl. You know what I mean? So yeah, he'll put his name to anything these days.
I mean, as Lance gets older as well, that's the joy of having like a cartoon series or a CGI series. You could do prequels. I mean, the good thing about Destiny is like the Guardians have been around for like hundreds and thousands of years since like the golden age. Years.
I'm telling you now, Dingle Bottle Riot. Dingle Bottle Riot.
It's like Star Wars in the sense that there's so much like history to go off. There's so much they could do with it. I think for Sony, it's a genius move. For Bungie, it was a masterstroke as well. I think that's part of the reason why they've gone with Sony over Microsoft, because they thought, okay, well, we can have everything here. And then Sony thought, well, we can have everything here, and we can also have these two IP. And I can see them being exclusive. That's what Sony got out of it.
Yeah, Sony have seen the whole package and not just the game. They've seen what everything that comes with it. Which, when you talk about it like that, that makes a hell of a lot of sense.
I mean, the other thing we talked about, like the figures for like Warzone, how Candy Crush and Warzone made like $3 billion a year, and that's just 2 franchises out of the things that Microsoft now own with Activision Blizzard on a yearly subscription. Obviously, that over 30 years on make back without anything else. Well, Destiny last year, with no sort of like investment really other than the player base, and whatever they've raised from like small backers made 700. I think it was 700 million. So 700 million in a year is, it's good money.
Yeah,
it's not Warzone 1.93 billion, but like it's a good turnover. Is it going to make Sony their money back right away? No, but if they have more investments, if they really plug the game and like get it, so it's like I need to be playing this like a Warcraft type thing. I need to be playing this as my main game, which loads of people already do anyway. Then it could make more money. It could reach out.
One
further.
thing Bungie's done well though with Destiny is they've kept it out the esport limelight, I think, which is massive positive, because if it had gone into that pool of cesspit that is, it would have gone down the Warzone route, and then your 1.9 billion is great, but look at the amount of controversy that comes with it, because so and so from this clan, sport, phase, group, cloud, whatever, has been caught out, and he's now on performance enhancers, and he's gone to this group, and now they've all been found with hacks and cheating. That's a whole media kettle of fish you do not want to be associated with. So that again is something Bungie have done really well to avoid.
I mean, I love Bungie, but they can't balance for shit, so they're never going to go into esports.
I think coming back to that 700 million a year.
I revised that. I think it might have been 300 million. I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
I think it was 300 million.
Even if it was 300 million, Sony have effectively bought a studio that's self-sufficient. That is automatically generating them a profit.
Exactly.
They don't need to put.
It'll take 10 years to make it back before anything else, but yeah.
And they get to put whatever profits from it into the film verse, into the TV verse, whatever they want to make out of it. It's not like they're rescuing an ailing studio and then having to pump money into them to turn them around. They are literally buying a top tier AAA studio at an absolute pinch.
Well, it is. I mean, we've spoken about it before. I mean, because I've lent you a few of them. Like the books that go along with the games that like fans make off the law, like the Assassin's Creed ones, the Halo ones, and all that, Gears of War ones. I would love to read some Destiny ones, Tales of Guardians in the past and things. The possibilities are endless, and it doesn't matter what you say about it now. You'll find something in the Bungie verse, in the Destiny verse, that you will fall in love with. And now you've got to think, ultimately, Sony's going to make money from that.
Well, if they can crack the toy market as well, like look at Star Wars. George Lucas, when he released Star Wars, he said, I want the royalties from the toys. You can have everything else. And it was like a masterstroke. He's made more money from toys than he has the entire franchise.
I mean, well, not exactly a McFarlane figure, are we talking here? We're talking like actual Mattel play the Guardians and stuff like that with, a clip-on armor and stuff like that, blind bags for exotics and stuff.
But
I think shit you're talking.
I think this is where Sony's going. I think they've got I think this has been part of their plan for a while. Have you seen today that they've announced a Watcher, a Horizon Zero Dawn
Lego set?
Watcher Lego.
I did actually.
£80. Imagine Lego Destiny. The amount of ships, the amount of ghosts.
Beneath the remortgage the house.
It's a license to print money. People don't understand how substantial this deal is. It's a masterstroke. It's a really good deal.
I fell for it when Duplo bought the Halo license because Lego didn't want it, because Lego will never sell weapons. That's the whole reason Lego didn't get the license. And then they went on and did like Ninjago and all that malarkey, because it was Gunzo. Lego didn't want to touch it. Duplo, we'll have it. And now, Mega Bloks, sorry, that's like because Duplo is part of the Lego family. Mega Bloks, I should say. Mega Bloks bought the Halo license. And now, you've got the. Can you think it's just the start of it? Because if they got in with Horizon Zero Dawn, what's not to say the next one that comes along isn't going to be Uncharted to go along with the film? And then we get a Last of Us set. And then it leads on from there and we go down the Destiny verse.
Well, I think Lego is starting to see that there is I think they're starting to realize that their biggest player base is probably more adults than it is children.
Adult fans of Lego, AFLs, yeah.
And I would not be surprised if you see in the next few years Lego rebrand like a separate brand to Lego for adults. Like,
being realistic, right? We're talking about this now. You're not exactly going to go and buy your 7-year-old nephew the £800 Death Star, are you? Because he's not going to appreciate it for what it is. That is aimed at one market specifically. You know who you are.
I still need to build my Infinity Gauntlet.
Can't afford to buy it, but if I could, I would. Ray, you need to eat.
So that's all.
So
like
ultimately,
that's all the acquisition talk.
Was it a big coup by Sony?
Expansion. No, I don't think it was.
By them. I think it was an awesome.
I think it was a coup as in like I don't think it was a coup as in they did it purposely.
No.
Like, it was like a Machiavellian scheme. I do think it was a coup. It was a masterstroke. Yeah, it was a really good
it's
deal.
a coup in the fact that
I think
they've just enabled themselves anything that is branded Destiny in the future now.
Yeah, I think in the light of everything
I think we could.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all I was going to say. It would be good for everyone. I think it'd be good.
I was going to say, in light of all the moves that Microsoft have been making recently in the gaming space under the Xbox banner, Sony needed to be doing something. It looked for a while like they were just falling behind. And they didn't. They were just waiting for the right move for them. They couldn't afford the Activision Blizzard move. They couldn't afford something like that.
Well, I can see them buying another studio. I don't think they've said the acquisitions aren't over. I'm calling it, and I'm going to say before the end of the year, Sony will own either Capcom, Konami,
or Square. I remember you saying. I totally agree with you. That it makes a hell of a lot of sense, especially for the market that they're targeted at as well.
Yeah, I think the Square one is the more likely one, but I also think that Microsoft are in the market for one of the Japanese studios as well. They really want to crack that market. To do
they've been caught on Sega for many years, so that's the big outlier.
And Sega just pulled out of all the arcades, haven't they?
Whatever will happen. I think the thing with Microsoft as well, you got to be aware of is like it's the antitrust again. They can't be seen to be buying too much. They can't. It's daft really because with their market dominance, they're still like fourth. I think maybe even fifth.
They still have a bit of play room.
I think like Valve, Tencent, PlayStation, and Nintendo are all ahead of Microsoft, so they're still like not there. Yeah. But
I think it gives them a play room to buy maybe one or two more significant studios.
Is it quality over quantity? Is that what we're seeing now?
Probably, I think.
Yeah, I think that's be a good studio if they're going to do it. So that was it about the acquisitions. I'm excited to get off this podcast to play some Destiny because tonight we're finally seeing the end of the Season of the Lost because the new expansion starts next week.
I'm glad to be getting off this podcast because I'm going to go delve into
going to go and torture stuff in Warzone.
What Season 2 is that started and see how bad Ricochet is. Hashtag.
And I'm probably going to start editing this podcast. So. Whilst watching Ben scream at the camera.
Normally that's $7.99 a month.
So next time you see us, we're going to have a lot to talk about because I am getting Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West on Friday. Destiny expansion comes out next Tuesday.
I might have purchased Elden Ring.
Elden Ring comes out on Friday. Oh, Jesus Christ.
And I'll still be dying in Tarkov, so we're good.
So on that bombshell.
Thanks for joining us, guys. I have been Judge Junky.
I have been Judge Volio.
And I've been Judge Ewok.
All rise!